Blake Lively's life took a dramatic turn for the worse after accepting the role of Lily Bloom.
They were the friendship everyone wanted to believe in. Taylor Swift, the global pop powerhouse, and Blake Lively, Hollywood's golden actress, seemed to share a bond that blurred the line between celebrity and sisterhood. On red carpets and in Instagram snapshots, they radiated the warmth of a friendship untouched by fame. For a time, the world was convinced. Here was proof that genuine connection could survive under the harsh spotlight. But beneath the curated smiles and carefully timed appearances, whispers of distance began to surface. Fans noticed long silences, missing birthdays, and a sudden absence from each other's public celebrations. In 2016, the 4th of July party photos crowned them as best friends. Just a few years later, the very same fans asked, "Where did Blake go?" Then came the contradictions. Interviews where Blake sidestepped questions about Taylor's squad, and Taylor's projects that no longer featured subtle nods to her supposed confidant. The illusion started to fracture, leaving the public to wonder if the friendship had been more performance than reality. So we return to the central question. Was this bond between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively ever truly real? Or was it just another Hollywood act designed to sell an image? To understand why the supposed friendship between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively fascinated millions, we need to rewind to the mid-2010s, an era when Taylor's squad became as famous as her chart-topping hits. In 2015, Blake Lively shared a seemingly innocent Instagram photo from Disneyland. The image showed her enjoying the rides, yet the caption caught fans' attention. It name-checked "Bad Blood," Swift's single, that dominated the airwaves at the time. Almost overnight, headlines began to connect the dots. Blake Lively joins Taylor Swift's inner circle. E! News, 2015. That moment marked the beginning of what would soon be packaged as one of Hollywood's most enviable female friendships. By the summer of 2016, the image had hardened. Taylor hosted her now-famous 4th of July party at her Rhode Island mansion, a gathering that included models, actors, and musicians. Among the star-studded guests was Blake, alongside husband Ryan Reynolds. Photos of the couple sitting on a picnic blanket next to Taylor spread like wildfire. People magazine ran the headline, "Taylor Swift's squad expands with Blake and Ryan." July 2016. Fans interpreted the sighting as confirmation. This wasn't just friendship, it was family. Taylor herself deepened the narrative. In 2020, when she released the surprise album Folklore, listeners discovered that 3 tracks, Betty, Cardigan, and August, featured names of Blake and Ryan's daughters, James, Inez, and Betty. The Easter egg wasn't subtle. It was a direct signal to fans. Taylor wasn't just a friend, she was an honorary aunt. The gesture cemented the perception that their bond had transcended industry alliances. As Billboard wrote in July 2020, Swift immortalizes Blake Lively's family in song. Red carpets and media appearances added to the illusion. Blake, known for her impeccable style, occasionally appeared in outfits that fashion blogs described as Swift-coded, echoing Taylor's pastel palettes and retro silhouettes. Meanwhile, Taylor's interviews occasionally hinted at friends who inspire my storytelling, with fans convinced she was referencing Blake. Talk shows played their part as well. On Ellen in 2016, when Blake was asked if she was officially part of Taylor's squad, she laughed it off, dodging the question. But the playful refusal only made audiences more curious. It allowed the mystique to grow. After all, what's more alluring than a secret inner circle that even A-list actresses must play coy about? By 2017, lifestyle magazines like Cosmopolitan and Elle regularly published spreads pairing the two women under titles like Taylor and Blake, Friendship Goals. Paparazzi shots were dissected. A shared coffee run in New York, a backstage hug at a concert, a carefully staged group photo. On social media, each image served as reinforcement. Together, Taylor and Blake embodied the dream that even at the highest levels of fame, two women could stand side by side, unaffected by jealousy or competition. The reality, of course, was far more complicated. But in these years, the illusion worked. Fans embraced the narrative, and the entertainment press amplified it. The friendship wasn't simply a personal connection, it became a marketing strategy. Taylor's brand of female empowerment relied on visible sisterhood, while Blake, navigating her career after Gossip Girl, benefited from association with one of the world's most bankable pop stars. And so, the illusion solidified into truth. For a brief, glittering moment, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively weren't just celebrities. They were the embodiment of a friendship that the world longed to believe in. Illusion hardened into truth. The story of Taylor Swift and Blake Lively looked picture-perfect from the outside. But as with many Hollywood illusions, cracks began to form. Not in one sudden explosion, but through a series of quiet, telling absences. After the 4th of July celebrations of 2016, where paparazzi captured Blake and Ryan sitting on the lawn while Taylor cuddled with then-boyfriend Tom Hiddleston, fans expected to see more of the trio. Yet the opposite occurred. By late 2017, the sightings slowed to a trickle. Where once there had been constant social media updates, there was now silence. Taylor posted no birthday tributes for Blake. Blake, who once joked about Taylor's lyrics in playful Instagram captions, no longer engaged. Fans began to notice. On Twitter threads, questions multiplied. Are Taylor and Blake still friends? The silence was compounded by the industry's obsession with hierarchy. By 2018, Taylor had entered the Reputation era, her most defiant and theatrical reinvention. She controlled every aspect of the rollout, from snake imagery to the global tour. Blake, meanwhile, had stepped back from acting to focus on motherhood before returning with A Simple Favor, 2018. For the first time, the imbalance between their careers became visible. Taylor was a cultural empire drawing stadium crowds and topping Forbes' Celebrity 100 with $185 million earnings in 2019. Forbes, July 2019. Blake's projects, while successful, were modest by comparison. Industry whispers speculated whether Blake was comfortable being overshadowed by her superstar friend. Then came Ryan Reynolds. Known for his wit, Ryan found himself unintentionally part of the Swift-Lively narrative when Taylor revealed the names of their daughters in Folklore, 2020. On the surface, it seemed a touching tribute. But Ryan's reaction in interviews suggested unease. In 2019, during a panel for Detective Pikachu, when asked about Taylor using his children's names, he laughed awkwardly. "You know, we trust Taylor with pretty much everything. Well, almost everything." The comment, lighthearted on its face, fueled speculation about blurred boundaries. Were Taylor's Easter eggs a gesture of intimacy, or a marketing strategy that leveraged her friends' private lives? Patterns of absence grew more noticeable. Blake skipped Taylor's high-profile appearances, the Reputation stadium tour stops, the 2019 American Music Awards, where Taylor was honored as Artist of the Decade, and the Netflix premiere of Miss Americana in early 2020. Meanwhile, Taylor remained absent from Blake's promotional milestones, including A Simple Favor, 2018, and The Rhythm Section, 2020. For two women who had once seemed inseparable, the lack of reciprocal support was striking. Even their social media behavior told a story. In an age where Instagram likes are scrutinized like diplomatic gestures, the lack of interaction stood out. Blake frequently celebrated peers like Anna Kendrick or co-stars on set, but mentions of Taylor disappeared. Taylor, meanwhile, shifted her digital focus to her lover-era friends, Gigi Hadid, Selena Gomez, and model Martha Hunt. The once celebrated bond between Taylor and Blake faded from the curated feeds that had once amplified it. Behind the scenes, differences in working style only widened the gap. Taylor, known for meticulous planning and long creative sessions, thrives under intense, extended projects. Blake, however, built her reputation on spontaneity and humor, bringing charm to press tours and promotional campaigns. The contrast, once complementary, became a point of divergence. Industry insiders noted the tension. Taylor demanded rehearsed perfection. Blake leaned on improvisation. In long press cycles, the friction showed. By 2020, fan communities had constructed entire timelines of the friendship's decline. Reddit threads dissected the missing photos, the untagged posts, the side comments in interviews. One user wrote, "It's not that they hate each other, it's that they don't occupy the same space anymore." Another replied bluntly, "Or maybe it was never that real to begin with." The final blow came with the perception of alliances. While Taylor deepened her ties with longtime friends, Selena Gomez, and new confidants like Phoebe Bridgers, Blake leaned into her partnership. With Ryan Reynolds as a power couple brand, both women evolved in ways that no longer overlapped. For a public condition to see them as best friends, the separation was jarring. And so, what began as whispers hardened into an undeniable pattern. No birthdays, no red carpets, no visible support. Just silence where laughter once lived. Cracks were no longer rumors. The illusion of harmony could only hold for so long. What had once been a subtle pattern of absence soon became undeniable when public scandals cast light on the fractures. The first real break in the narrative came in 2018. Blake released A Simple Favor, a stylish noir comedy directed by Paul Feig. It was her most high-profile project since Gossip Girl. Fans scoured the red carpet premiere for signs of Taylor, expecting the global superstar to stand beside her friend. Taylor never came. Instead, headlines focused on Blake and co-star Anna Kendrick. For many, the absence was striking. As Vanity Fair wrote in September 2018, Swift's silence on Lively's big return does not go unnoticed. Taylor's own documentary, Miss Americana, 2020, delivered another blow. The Netflix film promised an intimate look at Taylor's life, including her circle of support during her battles with public scrutiny. Viewers expected at least a cameo from Blake, given how central she had once appeared to Taylor's narrative. Yet Blake was nowhere to be found. Selena Gomez appeared. So did Gigi Hadid. Even models like Martha Hunt were acknowledged. But Blake? Not a single frame. The omission sparked online debates. Was this Taylor subtly signaling a shift in alliances? Then came the Folklore revelation. In July 2020, fans discovered that Taylor had named 3 songs after Blake and Ryan Reynolds' children, James, Inez, and Betty. While many praised the gesture as heartfelt, others noted a peculiar tension. Ryan's promotional interviews hinted at discomfort. In one 2021 exchange with SiriusXM, he joked, "We trust Taylor more than most people, but maybe she could have given us a heads up before releasing our family roll call to the world." The quote circulated widely, with headlines like Reynolds, jokes about Swift's use of kids' names. People, August 2021. What was meant as a gesture of intimacy now seemed like Taylor leveraging private details for public art. By 2021, rumors of an Instagram unfollow swirled. Screenshots circulated online claiming that Blake no longer followed Taylor. Whether real or fabricated, the story gained traction. Hashtags like "Chow Squad is Dead" and "Taylor and Blake" trended on Twitter, dividing fans. Some defended the women, insisting their bond was simply private. Others claimed it confirmed what had long been obvious. The friendship had collapsed. Meanwhile, Blake herself began to subtly distance her public image. In 2021, she criticized Instagram culture during a Harper's Bazaar interview, saying, "Friendships are not performances. They don't need to be photographed to be real." Many interpreted this as a veiled comment on Taylor's highly curated squad era. Though Blake never mentioned Taylor by name, the timing was difficult to ignore. The cultural split deepened. In late 2021, when Taylor re-released Red, Taylor's version, and dropped the 10-minute short film All Too Well, fans speculated wildly about whether Blake had directed the project. The truth emerged. It was Dylan O'Brien and Sadie Sink in front of the camera with Taylor directing herself. Blake was absent once again. It was not until November 2021 that Taylor confirmed Blake directed the music video for I Bet You Think About Me. For a moment it looked like reconciliation, but even then, the announcement felt more professional than personal. Two artists, collaborating rather than two friends celebrating. By this point the media narrative had shifted. Articles were no longer about friendship goals, but about what had gone wrong. Rolling Stone in 2021 published a think piece titled The Rise and Fall of Taylor Swift's Squad, arguing that the friendships were as much branding as they were bonding. Blake's absence from the piece said everything. She had become part of the silence. For fans who once cherished their bond, the scandals left only questions. Why had Taylor's supposed confidant skipped her biggest moments? Why did Blake avoid acknowledging Taylor's milestones? Why did gestures of closeness, like the naming of songs, feel more like strategies than secrets shared between friends? The mask had slipped, and when it did, the truth was unavoidable. The mask shattered in public. When the illusion finally cracked, both women faced the question every celebrity dreads. What would the fallout mean for their image? For Taylor, the timing was both a challenge and an opportunity. By 2020, she had already reinvented herself with Folklore and Evermore. The introspective albums earned her critical acclaim, stripping away the glossy squad image in favor of solitude and artistry. At the 2021 Grammy Awards, Folklore won Album of the Year, making Taylor the first woman in history to win the award 3 times. Grammy.com, March 2021. The absence of Blake from this victory lap was glaring. Once, Taylor's friends had been central to her triumphs. Now she stood alone on stage, the narrative of her music eclipsing the narrative of her friendships. Blake, meanwhile, leaned into her role as half of Hollywood's most beloved power couple. With Ryan Reynolds, she cultivated a brand of family-first humor, frequently posting tongue-in-cheek tributes to each other and sharing glimpses of domestic life. In 2020, she told Good Morning America, "Family is everything. Everything else is just noise." The quote resonated with fans who admired her decision to step back from constant industry appearances. By centering her family, Blake sidestepped the messy discourse of squad politics. The professional consequences were equally telling. Taylor's projects became more personal, less about celebrity connections. Her short films and music videos increasingly featured young actors or new collaborators, Sadie Sink, Dylan O'Brien, Phoebe Bridgers, rather than famous friends. The decision sent a subtle message. Her art no longer needed the validation of Hollywood alliances. For Blake, directing Taylor's I Bet You Think About Me video in November 2021 offered what seemed like a reunion. The project was warmly received, even earning a Country Music Association Award nomination for Video of the Year in 2022. Yet, the collaboration felt more transactional than intimate. Critics noted the professionalism of the project, but stopped short of calling it evidence of rekindled friendship. As Rolling Stone observed, this was less a personal reconciliation and more two powerful women finding common creative ground. The fan response, however, was far less measured. On social media, debates raged. Swifties dissected every interaction. Was Blake's silence during the Eras Tour promotion a snub or simply privacy? Gossip forums asked why Taylor didn't attend. Blake's later premieres, such as The Adam Project, 2022. Hashtags like Blayler alternated between nostalgia and mockery. For some, the friendship became a ghost story, proof that even the most glittering bonds in Hollywood can fade. The entertainment press seized the moment to ask bigger questions. Why had the industry needed the squad narrative in the first place? In 2021, The Atlantic ran a piece arguing that Taylor's squad had been a marketing machine disguised as intimacy, with the friendships themselves consumed as pop culture content. Blake's quiet retreat reinforced the point. If the friendship had been genuine, why did it dissolve the moment the cameras stopped rolling? In the end, neither woman addressed the rupture directly. Taylor never confirmed or denied the distance, instead framing her life around artistry and resilience. Blake, ever the diplomat, deflected questions with humor, once telling Harper's Bazaar, "The only squad I care about is the one in my living room." The absence itself became the loudest message. It was written into the cultural record not by what was said, but by what was missing. No joint appearances, no public celebrations, no reciprocal shout-outs. For a public that had once been fed curated images of inseparability, the silence was deafening. The absence became a character. What remains after the glitter fades? When the public finally recognized that Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's friendship was not the unshakable sisterhood it had been sold as, the legacy became something larger than either woman, a case study in how Hollywood packages intimacy for consumption. From the start, their bond was folded into Taylor's squad era, a marketing framework that transformed private connections into brand extensions. Between 2014 and 2016, Taylor's circle included models like Carly Kloss, actresses like Lena Dunham, and artists like Lorde. Each was paraded across red carpets and Instagram feeds as living proof of female empowerment. Blake's inclusion in 2015 gave the squad added prestige. After all, she was not just another rising star, but an actress with established credibility. As Time wrote in 2016, Swift's squad is part support system, part spectacle. But the dissolution revealed something audiences are only now beginning to confront. Friendships in celebrity culture are rarely organic. They are curated, photographed, and deployed strategically. Fans once thrilled to see Blake's children immortalized in Taylor's Folklore, interpreting it as proof of intimacy. Yet in retrospect, it read less like a secret between friends, and more like a calculated Easter egg for fandom engagement. When Ryan Reynolds quipped about being left out of the loop, the line between personal tribute and public branding blurred beyond recognition. The collapse also highlighted a shift in media literacy. In the early 2010s, fans readily embraced friendship goals narratives without question. By the 2020s, audiences had grown skeptical. Reddit threads and Twitter debates reflected a new awareness. The polished images of sisterhood were as staged as any music video. As cultural critic Anne Helen Peterson argued in 2021, the performance of female friendship has become another form of labor, required, monetized, and endlessly scrutinized. And yet, paradoxically, the friendship still left a cultural imprint. Taylor's songs Betty, Cardigan, and August continue to be streamed millions of times each month on Spotify. The lively Reynolds children, once simply part of a family, became forever linked to Swift's discography. For Blake, directing I Bet You Think About Me gave her a creative credit in Taylor's empire, ensuring that even as their bond frayed, their names remained entangled. Perhaps this is the dual legacy. The public loved the works that emerged, albums, films, videos, while simultaneously recognizing the machinery behind them. The friendship became both artifact and cautionary tale. The broader cultural meaning is clear. Hollywood thrives on selling closeness, especially among women. The narrative of two powerful figures supporting one another reinforces ideals of unity and empowerment. But when those bonds dissolve, audiences are left to reconcile affection for the art with cynicism about the marketing. Other examples only underline the pattern. Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall's fractured bond on Sex and the City revealed similar tensions between on-screen intimacy and off-screen animosity. Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie's fallout on The Simple Life demonstrated how even reality, television's best friends, were at times scripted into roles. Taylor and Blake's story is simply the latest chapter in a long tradition of manufactured friendships that both captivated and misled. In the end, their legacy is not just about two women who drifted apart. It is about the cultural moment when audiences began to look past the Instagram smiles and red carpet poses, questioning whether celebrity friendship was ever truly authentic, or simply another performance crafted for the spotlight. So after the silences, the absences, and the carefully staged gestures, one question lingers. Was the friendship between Taylor Swift and Blake Lively ever truly real, or was it simply another Hollywood performance designed for the cameras? Perhaps it doesn't matter. The images they left behind, 4th of July parties, inside jokes on Instagram, Easter eggs in Taylor's songs, still live in the cultural imagination. But they also serve as a reminder. In an industry built on spectacle, even intimacy can be curated for consumption. Now it's your turn. Do you believe Taylor and Blake shared a genuine bond, or was it all part of the show? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation honest but respectful. And if you want more untold Hollywood stories, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because in Hollywood, even friendship can be a performance.